afternoon, and welcome to AIADA's AutoTalk. I'm your host, Rachel Soleimani. Today, we continue our webinar series surrounding COVID-19 and the global pandemic's effect on the automotive retail market. Before I introduce today's presenter, a few quick reminders as always. Everyone that is registered for today's program will receive a copy by the beginning of next week. If you have any questions, feel free to enter them into the lower right side of your interface under the Q&A bar, and our presenter will address them in a follow-up along with the webinar recording. Now join me in welcoming Lisette Gohl, Head of Industry, Automotive Retail at Google. Lisette, take it away.
Thank you, Rachel, and thank you to the AIADA for allowing us this time together. I'm very excited to speak with you, and thank you all for tuning in. As Rachel mentioned, I'm Lisette Gohl, and I'm the Head of Automotive Retail at Google, and we've got a lot of great content to share with you today. But first, we want to acknowledge that we realize for many of us, these days are not business as usual. And as all of us continue to adapt to COVID-19 across the globe, we understand that today's landscape is creating new challenges for you, your business, and your customers. And while the challenges of each business are unique, we are all being impacted in some way, and we want you to know that we're here for you. You can find more information about how Google is trying to help by visiting google.com/COVID-19. Many of you have reached out to let us know that this type of content comes at a crucial time, a time where you're striving to be helpful and relevant to your customers. With this in mind, we will continue to work hard to provide you with the content and insights you need to help you and your business moving forward. In today's session, we will discuss key themes that we are seeing with our Google signals in the automotive industry. Then I'll cover recommendations for how your business can respond to them today, tomorrow, and in the future. It's clear that the challenge we face this time around is unmatched. It has restricted our ability to go about our daily lives, connect with our communities, and run our businesses. But as always, we're seeing how the automotive industry is rising to the challenge. We've been inspired by the efforts of automakers as they shift to production capability, boost the nation's stockpile of PPEs and ventilators. And across the country, dealerships have stepped up to give back to local communities. You've set up food pantries, fundraised for various charities, and offered vehicle support to healthcare professionals on the front lines. These examples highlight some of the many reasons I am proud to be part of this industry. The automotive retail space in particular, I'm proud to be a part of, and why I am optimistic about the future. So the question on all of our minds is this: how can dealers continue to perform and transform during the time of uncertainty? We are dealing with something that has changed everything about our business. However, we have always emerged on the other side and have adapted to what our customers want. It's no different today. We have a much richer picture of what customers want based on their online activity, and that enables us to anticipate what matters to our customers and be there for them. In the road to recovery, we expect to see the auto industry grow through a series of stalls, detours, and accelerations, or as we call them, shocks, step changes, and speed ups. The signals we collect at Google give insight into how people's needs and behaviors might evolve as they seek to regain a sense of balance. Even before the pandemic, a common statistic at Google is that 15% of our search queries that we see on a daily basis are unique, meaning they've never been searched before. In automotive, we're seeing many unique searches and trends. We're using automation through machine learning to be agile and anticipate what matters. And I know my own online behaviors have changed during this time as I'm searching for information in new ways and for new reasons. One day I'm searching for grocery delivery options, and the next I'm searching for new projects to do with my boys to extend their learning. Shocks are sudden changes that are unlikely to sustain. For example, we saw a spike of searches from current owners around deferred payments. At the same time, we saw a spike in purchase intent with a 900% month-over-month increase in searches for, is it a good time to buy a car? Then there are step changes. These are sudden changes in behavior that may sustain. In April, we saw a huge 3 times spike in searches for vehicle financing, and we saw a similar decline in interest around leasing. Per J.D. Power, for a few weeks in April, more people were buying cars with 84-month loans than were leasing them. Whether or not this trend persists will be based largely on how long these offers remain available. Finally, there's a third pattern of speed up, of dramatic acceleration of existing behavior that may sustain. This points to behavior that was already taking place, but due to outside pressure, they're picking up much more quickly and are seen more broadly than would have otherwise been. So for example, there's been a 70% year-over-year increase in search interest around buying a car online. This sharp rise is no doubt connected to concerns over health and stay-at-home mandates. Today, I'll focus on showing you what we've found regarding 4 speed-up trends that affect dealers. Then I'll talk about what dealers can do today to solve for what matters and be ready for whatever comes tomorrow. So these speed-up trends are: people are finding comfort in car ownership. People are also expecting to find a deal, and they want the dealer experience closer to home, and they want online buying and at-home delivery. The first trend is that people are finding comfort in their car. We may remember a time when there were claims of the end of car ownership as we know it. Younger generations don't want cars, shared ownership is the sole way of the future. But we've seen that perceptions of this reality have shifted almost immediately. We ran a survey at the end of March to see how people have been changing their behavior. Over 50% of respondents indicated that they have stopped or used less public transportation, taxis, or ride sharing. Additionally, 34% of the respondents attributed this shift into behavior around health and safety concerns. And as people reduce their usage of public transportation, they have become more reliant on their own vehicles. Ipsos did a study in China and saw a huge lift with 93% of people shifting toward personal vehicle usage. Cars.com did a study as well in the US and found that 20% of respondents who did not own a car were now considering purchasing one. We actually have several colleagues in New York who have licenses that have expired, one even as many as 10 years ago, who are now reconsidering their vehicle ownership. So these never owners are now reconsidering vehicle purchase. What this means is that even in this disruptive climate, there is demand for people who want cars. But I would encourage you to think about how that demand is different this time around. Some of these auto intenders are completely new to the market and see personal vehicle ownership as having a greater importance. There will even be shoppers who had previously completely written off car ownership, and for them, they may have completely different expectations on the product and the process. So how will we actually figure out what matters to customers today? The second trend that we dive into is that people expect to find a deal. Current offers from automotive brands are causing unique shopper behavior. Through consumer surveys, we've been keeping tabs on how this behavior has changed. We have seen people staying in market. So more than half of our auto shoppers are not changing their purchase timeline. Deals are pulling people into market. Over 1/4 are considering moving up their timeline and are new to market. And then ultimately, this is all driven by incentives. 0% interest financing and incentive deals are at the top of the influencer decisions for why people are staying in market and accelerating their purchase. We saw a handful of manufacturers that were quick to offer incentives and benefit from it. According to J.D. Power, the first 3 automakers to market with such offers made up half of the new car sales late in March and early in April. We're seeing breakouts of unique searches that we've never seen before, and those are around 0% and no interest financing. But we all know that deals and offers drive sales, but there are a couple of things that make it different this time around. With messaging and offers put out into the market in response to COVID, search interest for deals has spiked to levels that are comparable to year-end sales events. And as we all know, the market saw 4 weeks of stability through April, correlating to this spike. So incentives meant to fight back COVID have thrown seasonality out of the window. They've created unique and small windows of interest and intent that usually don't happen in this magnitude for another 6 months. When you look at dealership searches in March and April, the good news continues. When we compare the last week of March to the last week of April, we see a 59% increase in volume. The amount of searches by people looking for dealers has been growing since the end of March. And there are over 800,000 auto shoppers right now, and that number has grown week over week. So to be sure, these aren't the kind of deals that we're usually seeing around President's Day or Memorial Day. And shoppers are very savvy and they will not miss them. In a time of historic levels with unemployment, economic uncertainty, shoppers with true purchase intent are still in market. But with so many similar deals, it's getting even more important to get your messaging in front of shoppers who will convert with you. And the implications are that we are truly in extraordinary times. With near 0% financing offers as table stakes in this incentives game, your ability to use marketing will be your secret weapon. And with such diverse pool of high intent shoppers, many on accelerated or uncommon paths to purchase, being competitive means being able to tap into high ROI. And the third trend that we see is that people want the dealer experience to be closer to home. At Google, we've been tracking this evolution of auto shoppers via our passive purchase research for over a decade now, and we've witnessed the emergence of new digital behavior in the shopping process. The greatest, which was the importance of video in their research, was specifically on YouTube. During COVID, watch time is accelerating, and we've seen a 39% year-over-year growth in automotive watch time on YouTube. According to a study by Pixability, YouTube is the #1 destination for shoppers to research with automotive video content and has been the #1 destination for auto shoppers over 8 years. But we wanted to see how interest in videos like test drives and walkarounds were affected in the past weeks. So we compared 2020 data, which are the solid lines, to 2019 data, which are the dotted lines. Would they drop like sales have, or would people still be researching for the purchases were the questions we were asking ourselves. And in a year-over-year comparison, we see that test drive interest barely budged, dropping not even 1 percentage point down in April year-over-year. Walk-around videos, on the other hand, we're seeing a big jump in demand. Interest in walk-around videos is up 127% compared to April 2019. This shows us two things. Despite a significant loss of sales in March and April, people are still showing signals that they are shopping for a vehicle, and they're doing it by experiencing that vehicle on YouTube. And manufacturers are posting walkarounds showing off what's new for a model year. They're posting exterior and interior changes, features, and trims as model years roll out. And they're usually really flashy. They have high production value, and they're a great way to show off the idea of a vehicle. And when dealers do it with the vehicle they have on their lot, it's a compliment and it's even better. Because you may cover the same information, but the material has changed. You'll talk about how comfortable it is, why this feature is better than the competition, but you don't just show the vehicle, you show them the real vehicle that they could be buying. And as the competition for shoppers heats up, help bring your vehicle to life for those potential customers. Think about adding information on how to work with you in times like these. Call out your revised hours or services you offer, like vehicle pickup or contactless delivery in these videos. And today's reality is challenging the way that we seek out new ways of allowing shoppers to experience products from the safety of their homes. So tackling the digital shift will take a concerted effort between manufacturers and dealers. However, there are actions that dealers can and should take in order to future-proof their business. The reality is the solution to today's problem is something that we have jointly been talking about for the past few years. And in order to perform in these times, we have to be able to take all of the signals that our shoppers are showing us in their online behavior and adapt and apply them to our businesses. And the fourth trend is that people want online buying and at-home delivery. We've seen many of you spring into action, quickly shifting into innovative online transactions. Shifting to digital sales in these times has been seen as necessary, but I'm sure that there is conversation as to whether or not this will stick for the long run. And thankfully, consumer sentiment on online sales is something that we at Google have been keeping an eye on for some time. In April 2020, we saw that 68% of people shopping for a vehicle right now said that digital interactions are a good alternative to dealership visits. In fact, 1 in 5 in-market shoppers say they would purchase right now if given an online option. And back in 2018, our path to purchase research revealed that 63% of auto purchasers were open to a fully online shopping experience. The Asbury Automotive Group is one example that saw the potential in offering online sales early on. By the end of April, over 15% of their overall sales came from their online platform. That is up from the end of Q4 2019 and the beginning of Q1 2020, when online sales were about 10%. By introducing their platform 4 years ago, they positioned themselves to be ready for the digital shift that we see accelerating today. But implementing a good online sales system is not just as simple as deciding that you want to. Asbury decided to focus on making buying a car online as simple and as transparent as possible to their customer. They differentiated themselves by simplifying the finance process and bringing almost all of the purchase process online. And while it's hard to predict how online sales will change the industry, they remain optimistic for the future due to their platform's performance right now. So dealerships will continue to be important in the purchase process, especially in handling concerns and requests for information. Online retailing is here to stay, and this time has showed us that customers and dealers are ready to fully digitize the purchase journey. In fact, auto shoppers will have greater expectations for what can be done online, done paperlessly, and done from the comfort of their own home. On a personal note, I have colleagues in APAC where the lockdown was lifted several weeks ago, and he shared that his dealerships are now regularly fielding questions about options for air filtration systems in cars and other features and functionality. He responded with a dedicated FAQ section and an accompanying brochure to answer those questions. So once dealership activity returns to full swing, we should be prepared to respond to whatever new expectations will arise. And flexibility will be key in order to meet those expectations today and moving forward. So now that you're armed with some information on the 4 trends we see speeding up and changing the industry, let's talk about what you as dealers can do today, tomorrow, and in the near future. Here are 3 recommendations for what you should be doing now. Explore alternative customer service models. Maintain an open and frequent line of communication with your customers, and adapt messaging to match customer needs. And we will dive into these in detail. The first recommendation is to explore alternative customer service models. This is a step that many, if not all of you, have quickly jumped into. It's a true sign of leadership and flexibility, and I commend you for acting so swiftly to meet your customers' needs. And for those who are still determining how to execute, I encourage you to ask the following questions to identify where you can adapt to fit to your customers' needs during this time of social distancing that's also true to where your dealership is. So some of these questions include, do you have the ability to transact online? Do you have the ability to offer at-home test drives? Do you offer pickup and delivery for sales and service? Can customers complete the financing process online? And if your dealership doors are closed, is your email still open and available to your customers when they have questions? The next recommendation we have is to maintain lines of customer communication. Being an active touch point for potential customers is really important in these times. Consider not only how you're making yourself available to your customers, but also how you're letting them know that you're there for them. Specifically for Google My Business listings, ensure that you are providing the most accurate business information to your customers during this time. Chats and virtual consultations are available today through Google My Business. And for example, can service customers talk to a technician over video would be a great question to ask ourselves, and whether or not we want to use this functionality. Are our sales teams available to discuss specific vehicles, features, offers, or incentives? If the answer is yes, Google My Business has free chat functionality built in, and Google Hangouts is a free way to connect with your customers using video. So I explore you to look at these options to provide additional communication opportunities for your customers. Next, we want to adapt messaging to meet customer needs. And I feel like this is something that many of you were quick to address, but it is important to reiterate. Make sure that your ads are saying how you want to be seen during this time. Are the creative elements such as the tone, the copy, the keywords that you're using appropriate and relevant to your current to the current state? Look at your calls to action for accuracy and be mindful of statements like hurry in today, for example. We want to leverage video to highlight inventory and service offerings and act as a virtual showroom for customers to interact with your vehicles. And then we recommend highlighting offers and incentives and any OEM payment flexibility that's available right now. So here's what we recommend to do next with ready to activate retail solutions. We recommend capturing existing consumer demand, reaching customers, increasing time on YouTube, using smart bidding and the capabilities of automation to adapt to changes in behavior, re-engage those who are displaying shopping interest, and value your online metrics. And we're going to dive specifically into each of these. So capturing existing demand. We spent a lot of time talking about how consumers are looking to buy a vehicle and how they're looking for deals. In March 2020, we saw a 900% month-over-month increase in the term, "Is it a good time to buy a car?" So to capture the demand that currently exists, you can showcase your used inventory online using a product that we have around dynamic search ads. And you can build keywords to cover the profit centers that are open and provide flexibility as they open more frequently. So you can leverage sales or used car campaigns, and you can prioritize your budget where you want to spend and where you want to promote your business. And you can reach customers increasing time on YouTube. So regarding who will win the streaming wars, CEO Reed Hastings of Netflix had a great quote recently where he said, "The real measurement will be time. When you're in front of the TV and you think, do I turn on cable? Do I turn on YouTube? Do I turn on Netflix? People are voting for their favorite platform by spending their time on it. We've seen amazing growth in YouTube, which we've talked about, and watch time in automotive video content. So we know that video is a great place to engage with your customers and drive your business. So specifically, you can use a combination of YouTube in-stream and bumper ads to increase engagement. You can enable immediate conversions with TrueView for Action. And in addition to reaching audiences that are in market, you can use custom audiences to reach people that might be searching for your keywords on google.com and then drive action and show them a video on YouTube. And then lastly, showcase your up-to-date inventory and clearly state incentives through your video creative. And using smart bidding to adapt in behavior changes. So we talked a lot about how shoppers in market today are different than usual. And rather than using your time to figure out specific plans on how to reach each and every possible high-intent customer, you can utilize all of the tools that you have available. So automation simplifies this process of finding these customers using data, trends, and insights from millions of signals on Google. So you can leverage smart bidding to maximize conversions and drive as many high-value customers as possible within your current budget. And you can align your conversions to your campaign and business objectives. So you may need to adjust your conversions and objectives based on the changes in consumer behavior and government regulations, but this can all be done through systems. Next, we want to re-engage with those who are displaying shopping interest. You have a lot of insights at your fingertips today, all from your past customers. And if specific behaviors led them to purchasing their vehicle with you, you can use that to find others who are just like them. So you can ask yourself, who are my loyal customers? Who is likely to consider? Who hasn't bought in a while? And then you can use remarketing to reach customers that have visited your site, and then you can connect with them across search, YouTube, and display. You can also use your own first-party customer data to re-engage with those coming off lease and those that are due for service or maintenance. And finally, during this time, with more people spending more time online, in some cases, we are replacing what was a traditionally in-person touch point, and we want to be able to find potential leads that we hadn't been able to before, and it has never been more important. So make sure that your high-value actions or the actions that matter to you on your website match the shift in behavior and match the shift in your priorities. So if you're currently bidding to store visits and you are not able to have your showroom open, pause store visits and switch to high-value web-based conversions instead. And for this in particular, I definitely encourage you to reach out to your Google team for support, and we can jointly evaluate the key performance indicators. And lastly, the long game. What can we do tomorrow as we work toward a fully integrated e-commerce future? First, we can assess key elements of the online purchase process. The car buying process is still complex. And as you think about how to bring the functionality online, it's important to consider that all of the pieces in the process that will be necessary to develop a complete end-to-end user experience. So some examples of that could include transparent features and pricing, loan approvals in real time, online financing options, vehicle and paperwork delivery, and full online trade-in process. And we know that the manufacturers are also dealing with big changes on their end. And as the industry moves to a recovery focus, automakers are going to adapt to the new consumer behaviors and expectations and embrace new business models to be there to meet their shoppers' needs. So as the auto industry shifts towards online retailing, OEMs can be a great partner in providing the resources and coordination to execute an e-commerce strategy in partnership with you at scale. And then when dealing with the situation that we're in today, it's important that we understand that you have the best insights when making decisions that impact the future of your business. So I want to just point to Dealer Guidebook 2.0 as a resource to identify solutions that will drive profitability at your dealership. And to close, dealerships have always shown grit and resilience through hardship. Your ability to adapt to changes as the ground shifts beneath your feet is a skill that will continue to serve you well. And unfortunately at Google, we don't have a crystal ball that can tell us the future. But what we do have is a guarantee that we are committed to consistently assessing the situation and evolving our strategies in order to respond to these changing market conditions. And we are here to help. So should you have any questions or follow-up needs, please reach out to your Google partners directly or feel free to reach out to me. And with that, I'll hand it over to Rachel.
Lisette, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. We really appreciate it. Again, to those on the line, you'll be receiving a recording of this webinar by the beginning of next week. And any questions you have put in and asked, I will pass over to Lisette for you. To continue our COVID-19 webinar series, join us back here on Tuesday, May 12th at 2 p.m. Eastern as the pros from Moss Adams give us an update on the Paycheck Protection Program. What have we learned and what are we still waiting on? So be on the lookout for promotions on how to register. For more information about AIADA, visit aiada.org. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and have a great day.